Nerd Academy podcast is released weekly at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, available on our website at www.thenerdacademypodcast.com and wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also help support the show by going to patreon.com/The Nerd Academy podcast, where every donation allows us to bring you more exciting content every week.
Good morning, class, and welcome back to the Nerd Academy podcast, your source for nerddom news and commentary. I am your host, Jarod Bachman-Stubbs, and we got a news roundup for you guys. We haven't been able to do like a proper news episode in a little bit. There's been lots of stuff coming out. We had Loki, we had the Marvels, we had a couple episodes of KNR, we had an episode of KNR, and then a clip that the wrong part of the internet has found now, and I'm very entertained by the comments section. But I am not alone. Travis is busy working on end of semester stuff. So if you guys are getting tired of hearing my voice next to people from ComicBookCast, you're out of luck. Armin's here this week.
I like this lead in. It's like, all right, Travis isn't here. So we looked at the best 18th down the line non-unionized member we can get in on this to show something. This is perfect. I like it. Don't worry, it's the best we could do with 30 seconds.
No. Listen, I love doing a good news roundup with a fellow newsman. It excites me. A little bit of housekeeping up top. For our patrons at the $5 tier, Armin, which you are such. We released a new episode of the Versus series. We're getting these last few out now. Last night, I think around midnight, we dropped Lord Vader versus Cal Kestis, pre-suit Vader. Basically, Vader plucked from episode 5 of Ahsoka versus Cal circa Jedi Survivor. So if you're a patron or you're not yet a patron, at the $5 tier, you get access to the entire back catalog of the Knights of the Nerd Republic Versus series. Next up is going to be Darth Bane circa Dynasty of Evil versus Luke Skywalker circa Shadow of the Sith. So very excited for that matchup. Armin, let me pick your brain real quick. Who you got, Lord Vader or Cal?
Okay, this is going to be a tough one. I'm going to go with Lord Vader on this one just because, like, look, Cal, love him, especially after the last game. But,
oh yeah,
he's still got a lot of growing, and I feel like at that point, at least, Vader was more on the path of becoming the Vader we all know, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so...
All right, solid. So Armin has his pick. He and the rest of you gotta tune in to watch that episode. I'm very excited for you guys to see it. Other housekeeping, other little plug here. Ionized Bastard season 2 coming soon. Assuming there are no scheduling conflicts. This coming Tuesday let me get the date right. The 12th, we will be, fingers crossed, recording episode 1 of season 2. Our plan is to record a couple and then bank them up, but I just want to, just put it out there that season 2 is starting, at least on the production end, properly next week. So very excited. Go watch season 1 if you haven't yet. Kaysen and I are still working, mostly Kaysen, on the season 1 recap. So if you haven't seen season 1 and you don't quite have the time, but you want to start watching season 2 as we upload it, hopefully we'll have a recap out for you guys for that. And then this weekend, a new episode of KNR is going to be coming out. We're going to be recording it, and it'll be dropped early next week. I'm not going to get into too much of the specifics, but all I'll say is that on our Star Wars show, we plan on getting you guys in the holiday spirit.
That sounds like a threat.
by force, no pun intended. But yeah, all of that said, we got a nice little news roundup for you guys. Not everything in the time that we haven't been able to do a news roundup, but a lot of the big stuff, and there's been a lot of big stuff. So we're gonna be talking all about that. But before we jump into the news, we do have a word from our lovely sponsors at Sunday's Bloody Mary. You guys know the drill. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse with their three-time award-winning spicy Caesar mix, as well as their traditional and mild mixes if the spice ain't for you. They also have their award-winning pickled dilly beans, okra, and asparagus if you want to get your freak on and garnish that bad boy, and salt that rim if you're nasty. I love Bloody Marys. It's my favorite cocktail. I'm a former bartender. My mom's a bartender. She taught me how to make a damn good Bloody Mary from scratch. And for the longest time, that's the only way I drink a Bloody Mary. And then I tried Sundays, and that is my preferred Bloody. And I don't like Bloody Mary mix. I think it is the fucking devil. Anytime I'm at a bar and I order a Bloody Mary and I see somebody reach into a cooler and pull out a bottle of Zing Zang, I roll my eyes and kind of want my money back already. But Sundays is a game changer. So go ahead and order it. It makes for a great Christmas present. It's that time of year. So get on over, use the code or use the link in the description, and then use the code TNAP, TNAP at checkout, and get 10% off of your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. So our first batch, didn't mean to full screen that one. Our first round here is some updates around Fantastic Four. We're gonna jump into the big one. This is from Variety. Fantastic Four eyes Pedro Pascal to play Mr. Fantastic. Now, this is not locked in. I saw whenever I was on CBC recently, in the live chat and in the comments section, there were some people who were like getting angry that we were even talking about this story, saying that we were talking about it like it was a foregone conclusion. We say multiple times that he's being considered, that he's eyed, that it's not confirmed. I don't know. There was not some like breaking Pedro Pascal confirmed for Reed Richards, but yeah, we had a bit of a conversation about that then. Armin, I'll give you the floor on this one first.
All right. So first, you say it's like the people are always outraged, confirming. Look, when you got a big trade like Deadline or Variety that says in final talks, look back at the history of every time they said that. It's all but confirmed. It's like they got to sign the dotted line, right? So it's like, okay, this was the same thing with Robert Pattinson. This was the same thing going all the way back to the casting of Iron Man with Robert Downey Jr. So, there is something to this. I will say, obviously, there is this whole, how do I put it? Problem that people have with Pedro for some reason getting this, and they're like, he's not good at it. You've seen him do kind of the same shtick a couple of times. In your mind, you're stuck on he can't do it because of a preconceived notion from another show. That's how many people felt about Chris Evans as Captain America. Because, he can't do it. He's gonna be Iron Man. It's like, no, like you had Iron Man, then you have Chris Evans do this. He was Human Torch, yes. Separate that. Pedro is a great actor, and he can have chemistry with so many other great actors that are apparently being talked about for a potential role here, right? I think he'll do fine if he gets it because he's a talented actor. I don't see some of the backlash. I don't get why it's happening. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah, my thing has been, and I've been vocal. I said it on CBC. I've said it on Twitter. I personally am not fully sold. Like, I'm skeptical. I have no doubt he will be good in the role.
Yeah.
A lot of it, I think, for me, is a level of surprise. I said it on CBC, and I alluded to it on this show. I heard about this like a month and a half ago. I heard like a little, trickly, hey, word on the street through the grapevine. I don't dislike it. For me, there is, Pedro has an incredible charisma. He brings chemistry to like every single one of his castmates. Like, we're talking about somebody who made Gina Carano shine. Let's not let that feat go unspoken. He made Gina Carano look like she could fucking act.
Yeah.
when her scene partner was Din Djarin. but there's a specific flavor to Reed that it's
Mhm.
not so much that I don't think Pedro can do, it's that I haven't seen him do that I'm interested in. You know, when I tweeted about it, I was like, I'm not sold. I'm excited to be proven wrong. I'm not sold. I'm excited to be sold on it.
Yeah, yeah.
And give him his chance to shine, because you know, for me, a lot of what makes Reed so unique and fascinating is that he has this well-intentioned arrogance, you know, that
Mhm.
like that a lot that we that you know, when you think of like your science dudes in the Marvel pantheon, a lot of them are well-meaning and arrogant. You know, you have your Tony Starks, your Hanks McCoy, you know, characters like that who like Charles Xavier, who they're very intelligent and they know that their heart is in the right place. And sometimes they can lose the plot and get caught up in their own like mania of like, oh, I know I'm right because I'm so smart. Reed Richards is cut from that same cloth, but the difference I is that he doesn't ever realize when he's being condescending. I don't like Reed Richards has a I want to avoid saying self-importance,
Mhm.
but there's a level of like he knows that he is the smartest guy in the room. And he is so excited to share his knowledge with the world that he does not realize that he is being profoundly condescending and belittling to the people in the room,
Mhm.
you know? And that is also in concert with that he is a devoted family man, you
Yeah.
know, which like in that whole element of like allegedly, you know, Franklin and Valeria are going to be uh in this iteration, like from the jump, like we're skipping any of the prerequisite of like us getting to the kids are just going to be there. And if Reed's already a dad, like it feels like the Pedro thing was a fucking foregone conclusion then.
Yeah.
But uh but I that mix of devoted family man and does not realize how arrogant he accidentally can be. Like,
Mhm.
and then that is the difference from like a Tony Stark, for example, who believes his own hype and knows his hype to be accurate. You know, like Tony knows his shit don't stink. Whereas Reed will like kind of accidentally over explain a little bit too giddily to you science, and you know, and because of that, like, oh well, just I want to help the world, like let me do my thing. It can lead him into disaster
Yeah.
and cause situations that put his family and the entire world in danger. It's an interesting dynamic, and it's not that I don't think Pedro can do it. I just haven't. I can't. I am not able at current to imagine how he will do it. But I
Mhm.
am not. I do not doubt for a second that he can do it. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So, I'm kind of in this belief that we gotta take Reed from the comics and understand we're not gonna get that version. Um, I think you're gonna get a slightly different version of that take that's more energetic. Because as a fan of Reed Richards, he has a dry sensibility to him and this attitude that I don't think will work with, most audiences. And if your leading man is a dick like Tony Stark, but he doesn't do it in a playful, charming way, Reed is just a dick. And at that point, you're gonna go, "Oh, if you give if you were to give the same exact, like, lines that we had in Multiverse of Madness with Reed Richards to Pedro, I would be way more convinced that that character is more likable than what I got with that 2 minutes of Mr. Fantastic in Multiverse of Madness." because he felt like the comic book version jump out of the page and he read it just in the exact wooden way the read would come off, if that makes sense. And I don't think that works. And go back to the other iterations of Fantastic Four that we had, specifically the 2000s version, with Jessica Alba and them. That version of Reed is not exactly Reed Richards from the comics, but he almost feels like an MCU proto version of Reed, where he has this energy where you're like, yeah, he's condescending, but there's this charm to him. I think they need to get that right because, again, you're going to need Mr. Fantastic to be in at least a dozen projects at this point, right? Because he's going to be like the
Yeah.
new Tony. Are you going to give me somebody that, and again, this isn't an insult because it's been very much established. Reed is a bit on the spectrum, and he comes off, so I'm not saying this as an insult. When you talk to somebody that's a bit on the spectrum, they don't understand this emotional thing where if they condescend to you, they don't understand it to a degree.
Yeah, there's the social cue stuff. Absolutely.
Exactly.
I think part of that was why Adam Driver was a favorite for so long. He was a favorite for me for so long.
Yeah,
Is that like, not to speculate on diagnoses and stuff like that, because that's wildly inappropriate. But like people that have had that, conversation of like, you could see the way Adam Driver kind of has that very, dry, like, especially when dealing with like a fan base as ravenous as Star Wars fans, that it's like, I don't know how to meet your energy. I don't. I'm just going to try my best to be polite. And sometimes it might come across as me being disinterested. And I do think that's a huge element. Now, the question I ask of you here is, do you think, because again, the talk of the town is that Sue Storm is going to be more the lead here than in the previous two iterations of the Fantastic Four. Do you think it's easier to have the more like kind but accidentally incredibly condescending Reed when he is, for lack of a better term, in the passenger seat, where he's the co-lead and like we're more getting the POV of Sue? Do you think it's easier to adapt it there then? Because that's what I'm hopeful for. Is I think he's easier if you're able to put him again like in that passenger seat, right, where he is almost as forward in the plot, where again it's that co-lead situation. I think that if you get Reed from Sue's perspective, it will make selling that characterization easier. And then when we start getting Reed by himself, you can then build upon that. Because and I agree with you. I do think Reed is gonna be a tough sell as a straight up lead. And I do, again, I've said before, I do love the like 2000s Fantastic Four movies.
I like the first one. The first one to me is great. The second one, no.
I haven't seen Rise of the Silver Surfer in its entirety in probably 5 to 8 years. But I do really like that first movie as well. I like that characterization of Reed a lot. I think they hit a lot of the beats very well. And it's like you were alluding to, where it feels like he is kind of what's the word I'm looking for? He's kind of had some of the edges sanded down on his personality a little bit to make him an easier sell for audiences. But it does do what the MCU has done with a lot of its characters, where it's like, is it like text to pay, is text and page to screen 100%? No, not necessarily, but like it's the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law, right? Where like the spirit of the character is depicted fantastically. And in many ways the movies have gotten to iterate on some of these characters in ways that have bled over into the comics for better or worse. And like Tony, like slowly kind of just became more and more like his on-screen counterpart, and I think that's kind of for the better. I think Tony is a more fun and interesting character when he has more of those RDJ sensibilities. So yeah, I think this is interesting. I think it is inspired casting. I was really into Driver. I was really into Matt Smith when those two were being bandied about, and I was really hoping for either of them.
Or wait,
you
wait,
know.
hold up. What is that? Oh, is that Mitch? Hold up. I think Mitch is on the line. Matt Smith, bad. Oi, governor. See, that's how I know it was him.
Oi, governor, I'm so glad Andor got delayed in it.
He can't defend himself. Jump
I
on
know. What the fuck is a kilometer, baby? America.
it.
But yeah, I'm very excited to see where this goes. I'm very interested, especially with the way the casting rumors have been percolating. You know, like it's starting to feel more and more like that whole Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm is going to come to fruition.
Well, there we go. If you want your boring, can't act, single face person, you're gonna have Sue Storm if it's freaking Kirby. Oh,
Hey, I'm willing to let her cook. Like I said, I off the top of my head cannot think of any instances where Sarah Haley Finn dropped the ball.
mm-hmm.
Like truly, like I'm just gonna let her cook because she hasn't gotten it wrong yet, and she's had some picks that made everybody scratch their heads, and then we
Yeah.
went, oh, so this is the definitive version of this character now. But you have Kirby for Sue. Which of the Stranger Things guys is like allegedly down for Johnny? I can never
There's a
remember his
ton of
name.
Johnny's the one that seems to be bouncing back and forth so much. I don't even know, honestly.
Last I heard, it was like one of the Stranger Things guys who was like a popular fan cast.
Yeah,
And
I
then I
heard it
can't
was the dude
remember.
that played the brother, and then I don't know what happened after
Yeah.
that.
And then the one that really excites me, the guy from The Bear who played Skeen and Andor, ha ha ha.
Okay.
Allegedly being tapped for Ben, which makes me happy because they got it right because he's a Jewish actor. So that's he's an incredible actor, and they cast a Jewish person allegedly. So I think that's a home run casting, and I think he's one of the ones Nando V Movies brought up. So the chalk one up for Nando.
Hmm.
But yeah, on the topic of Fantastic Four, we may also have two of our baddies for the movie. Javier Bardem, somebody who's been a favorite to portray a villain in the MCU, be it Doom, or this one, in this case, Galactus, allegedly. According to an update from the former Snyder, Jeff Snyder, Javier Bardem is being eyed to portray Galactus in Fantastic Four. I think this is a layup. I think that I think this will obviously be mostly a voiceover role.
Oh yeah.
But there's no way they don't like design and probably do some mocap
Mm-hmm.
on Bardem to make him look like Galactus look like him. But he has the perfect voice for it. Like these are one of those situations where Galactus is kind of one note, but he's not supposed to be like some rich, fascinating villain. He's supposed to be a force of nature.
Yeah.
Like a Galactus story should feel like a natural disaster apocalypse,
Mm-hmm.
not like a war against an ideology.
It should feel like a Rowan Emmerich coming at you at full swing. It's like, what do you do with this disaster? It's like, I don't know, just take it full force and see what happens.
Exactly. So, Bardem has so much presence as an actor
Mm-hmm.
that it's just one of those like, oh, so like this is like I'm not trying to say that I think Javier Bardem will be sleepwalking through the role or that he's not gonna bring his A game, but like Galactus played by Bardem is something that I feel like he could get away with half-assing because like his worst day is some people's best gig. You know what I mean? So that like I think there's a level of like I could phone it in and it still bring the fucking house down. So we have that as well. So we'll see how that develops. And then one last note on the Fantastic Four. You smell that? It's a smell of fanboy tears. They're making the Silver Surfer woke. Again, this is again Daniel RPK, which no disrespect to the guy, it's kind of a fucking coin toss.
Oh, I mean, looking at some of the reports that he doubled and tripled down on, and then they were deleted because you know how these websites work. They're all in the same circle and they'll source only their friends to boost each other up and all that. And that's how it works. And yeah, he's a coin toss. And most of the times it's like, I don't know, you got to look at it for face value. But everybody, I think, is confused here. They're saying, oh, Galactus is going to have a herald and it's Silver Surfer and it's female. Galactus has had like 10 different heralds and half of them have been female. And chances are it's not a female surfer. Chances are it's probably Frankie Nova or somebody else. Like they could even go Ghost Rider and make it the female version. Like, I don't know. I think people are just confused. Most people that don't read the comics think Galactus only had Surfer, where that's not the case by far.
Yeah, or at the very least, it's that like, okay, so we know the iconic one who like people who has name cachet.
Yeah.
And I think that not to completely cape or crib off of Nando V Movies, I brought him up earlier. He had a great video on his second channel about like, here's what I think is happening with the Anya Taylor-Joy Silver Surfer Galactus's Herald stuff. That on one hand, female Silver Surfer could work. There is nothing about Norrin Rad's story that is inherently something that like is inextricably linked to him presenting as male. Whereas Frankie Nova, it could be complicated.
Yeah.
That like you have somebody named Nova. We already have the Nova Corps, and there's allegedly Nova stuff in the works. Like Nova, like the hero. And she also at one point has like Johnny's same powers. So do you end up in a situation where you have like 2 Human Torches and a Silver Surfer and a Herald of Galactus and a Silver Surfer who's both of those things? Like,
while we're at it, why don't we just bring in the World War II Human Torch who was in the first Avenger? We'll have a 3-way of Human Torches.
Yeah, for sure. And then like, and even then, like, I believe isn't like Frankie Nova's origins are like linked to that Human Torch as well, are they not? So like, so you get into like all these weird, like it's a hat on a fucking hat.
Yeah,
and it muddies things a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I personally am more inclined to say, I think with this situation, if this ends up coming to pass, which it may not, again, Daniel RPK, from the top of my head, I don't monitor his Twitter account, but from what I've seen from him, his success rate is for every grand slam he hits, he has a series of deleted tweets. You know what I mean? So like it's you do what you will. So if this even does come to pass, my money is on Silver Surfer is a lady, which you're gonna have a whole lot of people pretend that they gave a damn about the Silver Surfer for the last like 80 fucking years.
Oh yeah, they will.
As far as I'm concerned, there is one person who gets to have an opinion, and it's Quentin Tarantino. Like, because I know that he's been obsessed with the Silver Surfer for whatever reason. So either Lady Norrin Rad, or it'll be one of the other heralds who is not the convoluted mess that would be introduced with Frankie Nova.
Yeah,
pardon me. And it's just either a gender swap or it's one of the. It's either one of the lady heralds or it's a gender swapped one, and it's not going to be that big of a deal.
Whatever the case is, I don't care. I like Silver Surfer, and like you said, Silver Surfer is like James Rhodes. When James Rhodes was first invented, and it was Bob Layton, it was like, why is this character white? And they were like, is there a reason he like should be white? And he's like, well, I want to make James Rhodes black. And they were like, sure, nothing defines him. Surfer is kind of like that. Like, sure, he has a wife and children. Okay. He can have a wife and they can have children. Guess what? They're aliens on Zen-La. Nothing tells me that they need to be male, female, and compatible. Aliens, they can, whatever. Who cares? Fine. Give me female Silver Surfer. I'm all in. I don't care. Is her name Nora Rad? Perfect. I'll take it. I don't care. Like, I love Silver Surfer either way, and I just want it done properly. So I'll take it.
I agree with you completely. And even in situations, and like not as like two white dudes here, trying to like imply that the racial background of a character should be used as like a springboard for set dressing, but like a character like James Rhodes is more interesting when he's black.
Mhm.
One of the and again, do take or leave fucking Secret Invasion. Some of the best and most interesting moments in that show are Fury and Rhodey talking about, we are two black dudes who
Mhm.
are old enough, at least one of them is old enough, and one of them is old enough for the immediate reverberations of systems that would not let us have these jobs to begin with,
Uh-huh.
having to be exceptional to compete with the mediocrity of white men who are bad at their jobs.
Uh-huh.
So, I like this. So there's something to that it does bring dynamics to those characters that do fundamentally alter them. So we'll see how this stuff pans out. I'm interested. I've said before, Fantastic Four is one of my most anticipated Marvel movies of all time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready. And I'm just going to say it again for the cheap seats. Cast a Romani actor as Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
Real quick, and this is not a call out to you because you have no control over this. Did you see those fucking weirdos in the live chat last Saturday? Or
That's how it
2
goes.
Saturdays ago? Whenever Mitch and I got on our soapbox about like, don't fuck up Doom, please, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
There were two guys whose names I can't remember off the top of my head, who were going back and forth about being confused as to why Mitch and I would not use the G slur.
Uh-huh.
And
No.
I have never in my life seen somebody go, "Why aren't you just saying word you're not supposed to use anymore?" in response to me saying Romani. So I have this moment where I'm going, okay, so you know what Romani means. So you know that this is like the term for somebody from this region,
Mm-hmm.
and that you're not supposed to say what you're saying, but you know what the one I'm saying means. Why are you insisting I use the slur?
Right. So, see, this is difficult. As an Eastern European from
Yes,
Bosnia.
and you have way. I was just about to say, I have spoken my piece, and I am gonna just shut the fuck up and let you cook
Right.
on this one.
So for me, it's like when I was growing up, and even still, you go back there, the the term, the G word, and I'll just say it so people know that I listen to this. I think you know what it is. The slang, the term gypsy. If I go there, everybody says it. It's just common. Even the Romani people in my home country of Bosnia, which there's plenty of, literally friends of my family, some married into parts of my cousins and stuff. It's freely used. Just like in Eastern Europe, there's whole locations where if you're to go there, you're going to hear the N word and you're just like, oh, because here it doesn't have that bad connotation. It's not as bad. In other places, it's bad. The reason we don't want to say it, first and foremost, is because, yes, it is a derogatory term and it's don't use it anymore. It's antiquated. It doesn't work just the same way we don't use other terms, which is why I don't even use it. Sometimes I might slip up because, again, I talk to my family and it's common, okay? Over there, it's a thing. It is what it is. It is disrespectful. But I do think they need to cast a Romani actor. They need to do it. I
Yeah.
don't want Doom to be whitewashed again. I'm sorry, like that can't happen.
Yeah.
And also, Doom's entire origin involving his mom and everything calls to the fact that they are Romani and the fact that how he gets into the certain aspects of his beliefs, his religion, how he delves into this dark past of history and how they've been treated, that all fuels Doctor Doom. if you take many of those elements away, where he ends up in, Latveria, how he rules and how he descends upon people, what he wants is because of this thing that's been his people being subjugated to being constantly called thieves and dirt and all that. Again, I am somebody that saw this firsthand and didn't understand why one of my best friends as a 5-year-old was spit on and kicked. Oh, once I got older, I got it. To me, I need this represented on film because it's important. So if they do it, please just treat it with respect. I don't want it to go to waste because there's a way there that they could teach people about Doctor Doom in a way that further shines light on an entire group of people that don't have a home, that are, you know, travelers for better lack of a term, and this is their place in the world today. I think you could use Doctor Doom to help get some eyes on that, and also take this great character and cast somebody that's Romani that might need that boost in their
Yeah.
career. It's To me, it is important. And again, I know I'm coming from a different angle at this than most people listening to this. If you're Eastern European, you know exactly what I'm saying. You're probably going to agree with me, but you definitely need that. It's important to the character, in my opinion. So, I,
Absolutely. I agree with you entirely. And I think the MCU, when it comes to casting like white Anglo Americans in you know in roles that should not go to them, like there's two flavors. There's them like just bizarrely Catholicizing the Scarlet Witch, which
yeah,
like is to this day, I've heard, and I've even made the argument that maybe they felt like they had to like fundamentally change her background to avoid any issues with Fox. That's still not an excuse that flies,
hmm,
because you didn't have to take this Jewish Romani character and put a fucking crucifix in her quarters at the Avengers compound.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that, like going that far was buck fucking wild.
yep,
Uh but then you also get situations where they're like, "Oh, we don't want to do we don't want to do an Orientalism with the Ancient One, and have Strange show up and surpass this like thousands of years old man of Asian descent, and usurp him and do that horrible trope that has been done in fiction for decades."
hmm,
And that they stepped in it by trying to avoid that and just ended up completely whitewashing the Ancient One, where they could have
yeah,
and this was a conversation I had with my girlfriend not too long ago. We were talking about the Ancient One thing, and she made a really good point, because I've always been of the mind of like their heart was in the right place,
yeah,
and I still maintain that. But you still ended up whitewashing this like incredibly powerful character in the Marvel pantheon. And she brought up a great point. She goes, "Okay, well, let's look at how the movie plays out. Strange is at Comertage for years. Like the way it's
hmm,
depicted, like time is clearly passing while he's there training. During his training, he does not usurp the Ancient One. He still clearly has a lot to learn from her. And the power vacuum is created when the Ancient One lays down her life trying to stop Caecilius and Dormammu. And then who becomes the Sorcerer Supreme? Wong.
yeah,
So if you wrote the story like that, you never were going to do that trope.
right, right,
There was no reason for an Asian man not to play the fucking Asian, or an Asian person to play the fucking Ancient One. Which that never occurred to me. I was like, they didn't do the thing. You're fucking right. It never crossed my mind until she pointed that out to me. Um. So yeah. Anyway, Marvel, don't fuck this up.
yeah, please,
Uh. Speaking of Marvel things on the horizon, news that excites me immensely. We talked on CBC, almost said TNAP, that's here, about how Kang Dynasty, writer and director kind of walked away to do other things. Obviously, the director wanted to focus on Shang-Chi too. We have a new head writer for Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, and that is creator of Loki, Michael Waldron. This is a Deadline exclusive from Justin Kroll, and read from the article here. Exclusive. Michael Waldron has been tapped to write Marvel Studios' Avengers: Kang Dynasty. Waldron had already been set to write Avengers: Secret Wars, the installment that would follow Kang Dynasty, and will now write both Avengers sequels. Waldron has become one of Marvel's most trusted creative minds, having personally created and served as showrunner on season 1 of Loki, as well as writing, in my opinion, one of the best Marvel movies of all time, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Here.
And now the move makes sense to the studio to have him pen both films. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige will produce. This excites me a lot.
Yeah.
One of the things, just with how big, not necessarily in terms of like Marvel being like the biggest media franchise on the planet, but just like how much there is going on with all these pieces on the board. One of my worries was that some of the multiverse stuff that has happened in the multiverse saga would go unaddressed.
Mm-hmm.
And that we would, that something like the way that Loki ended may not be fully capitalized on. Now, I understand that Waldron did not work. I don't think he worked much, if at all, on Loki season 2.
Yeah, he kind of just early on, I believe he shepherded it and handed it off, and then they did their own thing because he was involved with Doctor Strange. So
yeah.
yeah.
So for me, I like that we have somebody who is intimately familiar with what has happened in Loki at the helm here. Because if he is intimately familiar with Loki and intimately familiar with the events of the multiverse movie, the movie that has had the most to do with it,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of those threads are going to pay off in a more substantive way than I think they would have otherwise. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So this news made me smile when I saw this headline start floating around.
Same. Yeah, like you know, to me personally, in my rankings, and this is my fanboy edition, not like what I think is the best, what I enjoy the most, what I love the most. Multiverse of Madness is my second favorite film in the MCU. Like, I love that film that much. I think he nailed it. He understands the concepts of the multiverse. I think Loki season 1 was far superior to 2. And don't get me wrong, I think 2 is a masterpiece, but I think 1 is just a whole different level of storytelling and character, like, just breakdown of this character and this idea. So him getting both Avengers films back to back, being able to do what the guy, what Stephen Marks and McFeely did with the Avengers films and Cap, carry over that same script and ideas and through line, I think is genius. And this, I think, further tells me Doctor Strange and Loki are probably going to be central to Secret Wars because they want him to shepherd these characters that he understands. So I'm hyped. Not a single complaint about this. This is the perfect choice in my opinion. Him writing both, perfect. And rumors are also that he's going to write Doctor Strange 3 as well, which perfect. That's even better.
Yeah,
give him all the writing.
Slam dunks all around. Happy to see Waldron in that slot. We got a few more big updates here in the realm of another upcoming movie, and then we're gonna have some trailer talk to round out the episode. So big pieces of casting for Superman Legacy. Skylar Gisondo, is that how you say it? Am I right?
Sure. Yeah, let's ask me.
Skylar Gisondo. Yeah, good point. Is tapped to play Jimmy Olsen, which I know made my TikTok friend and comics and comedians host Shuby Dubert very happy because he's been thumping his chest for Skylar Gisondo for a while now. So I'm glad he called this shot. I think from what I've seen of him, it's a fucking layup. And Sarah Sampaio as Eve Tessmacher. Armin, question for you. As I've made it very clear, I am your Padawan. You know,
Yes,
it's a
yes.
joke I always make. This channel is a little bit of plagiarism to begin with. Speaking of which, go watch that new H Bomber guy video. Holy shit. But
Yeah.
was Eve Tessmacher a product of Superman the movie, or was she in the
Yes.
comics? That's what I thought. That is what I thought. I thought I was crazy for thinking that, though.
So she went through that thing where she was introduced, like they had the idea around the time to introduce a character like that. And the movie did it, and then the character took off, and eventually they would spawn like a spin-off or a different take, or straight up bring her back, or like in Superman Returns, they had like that character in every way but the name, because there was licensing issues with the estates and everything, so they had to be careful with it. But it's a character that went from, live action to comic, just like when Smallville did Chloe Sullivan. She was in Smallville first, and they brought her into the comic. So, she very much
it's the
foundation.
Harley Quinn effect. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was nuts, and I was like, because I thought that, and I said, "Oh, cool!" Like, because I know she's been in the comics, but I was like, I feel like she first appeared in Superman the movie.
Mhm.
But okay, good. I feel less crazy now. Not familiar with Sampaio's work, but I can tell you this: that is exactly what I think Eve Tessmacher looks like in the 2020s.
Yeah.
Like, that is the look. I was okay. I was sold on look alone. Like I bought that for both of them. I looked at them. I went, oh yeah. So that's Jimmy Olsen and that's Eve Tessmacher. It's like I didn't need to see the headline. I could just look at the picture and go, oh, that's who was cast.
Right.
But speaking of Tessmacher, the big one, that I was very happy about. So this was my second favorite pick. Nicholas Hoult will be playing our Lex Luthor.
Perfect.
Slam dunk. The fact that he auditioned for Superman but got cast as Lex Luthor is kind of the best news you could ever hear for Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm like, man, James Gunn's already on one with this. I love this choice. I think he's going to be perfect for the role. I will say, I was very much in the camp of Glenn Howerton Luthor. Unironically, I fully was like, no, I want the Lex method. I need the Luthor method. I think, like, in another universe, I would like to see him get to play that character, but I am very happy with Nicholas Hoult.
Wait, hold up, Lex. Why are you taking me on this yacht? It's because of the implication there, Lois. What
Well, that, or
implication?
even
The implication.
just like with like a fucking ton like orb of kryptonite. Mr. Luthor, why do you have all this? Why do you have all this kryptonite laying around? We've seen Miss Tessmacher. It's because of the implication.
Also, Miss Tessmacher, can you get me a small, frail white Chinese boy with golf clubs? I want to see how far I can go. Wait, what? Oh no, we're really crossing over into Always Sunny in Metropolis.
It's Always Sunny in Metropolis.
Just terrible human being, Lex Luthor. Man.
Oh, dude, there is an alternate universe where two things are true. Glenn Howerton is cast as Lex Luthor, and you guys still have that bitchin' T Public with all those cool shirts. And there would have been, and It's Always Sunny in Metropolis shirt 100%. That I would have bought the day you posted it.
I'd be wearing that tank top.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Hey, again, I know I always like wax poetic. The night I saw Spider-Man Homecoming, I wore that Spider-Man Avengers shirt you guys made.
Yeah.
That was I was like, yeah, fucking prodigal son, baby. But yeah, no, Nicholas Hoult, again, slam dunk casting so far. All of these Superman legacy castings have just been marvelous. You know,
Yeah.
it's they're incredible. We also got Maria Gabriela de Faria as the engineer,
Cool.
which lends itself towards a lot of the Authority
Yeah. Well,
rumors. Now, James Gunn said that the Authority will not be in the movie. I think we're getting into a little bit of Obi-Wan Kenobi from a certain point of view,
uh-huh.
where
100%.
it's like it's not the Authority. You know, it's probably going to be like, I think Nando V Movies called this shot a while ago that they're going to amalgamize the Authority with I can't remember the name of it, like Manchester Black's posse.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah, I
That
could see
like
that.
that it's gonna be kind of like a little bit of both of those put together,
Yep.
and that's why the Authority is not in the movie, is because they're not going to be going by the Authority, and you might have members of Manchester Black's posse kind of go into the Authority.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I see
Um,
that.
which again, I hope that prediction was right, and it looks like it's shaping up too. So yeah, really bitchin' news on that front. Very happy. We also got some updates from James Gunn, where he has said that that the script for Superman Legacy is quote 99.9% done. He said that it's essentially been done before the strike, but now they're kind of putting finishing touches on it.
Mhm.
And he also clarified that the talk about Jensen Ackles being in contention for Batman, and scripts for for other Gods and Monsters stuff, that there's no script for it. Now, Armin, I want to pick your brain. So we know it's not Jensen Ackles.
Uh-huh.
Who do you think or want for the DCU Batman? Because I have my pick, and I've had my pick for a long fucking time.
Okay. Crap. It's kind of hard for me to do this because the one I always wanted for the last like 8 years or something, ever since the rumor started, was Robert Pattinson. I wanted to see him do it, and he did it. Proved everybody wrong. He's probably my favorite live action Batman to date.
Same,
So
same.
uh, thinking about it and seeing how they've handled so far the casting of Superman, I kind of want a middle of the road actor who hasn't gotten his break, who's in his like close to his 40s. Because this Batman's got to be old enough to have Damian. We know that for a fact. That's literally what they're doing. So I want somebody that's like in their 40s to kind of just give me that actor that's on the cusp of breaking through, but just hasn't had that role. You know, and I can't think of anybody personally, so I don't know. Like I don't have a fan casting for this specific role.
Okay. From what I understand, this actor was in contention at one point to play Batman. Now I don't know that I know the time period, so it either means Nolan or Justice League Mortal, probably Justice League Mortal.
Hmm.
And we are long overdue for this actor to finally play Batman. David Boreanaz.
Honestly, yeah, I could see him do it. I could see him do it.
Like, dude, just watch Angel season 1.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
Batman.
yeah.
That's Batman. Then they even make jokes about it because there's like episodes where he's trying to use grappling hooks and shit, and they're like, "You fucking Batman, you're already a vampire. What is going on?" I'm telling James, buddy, Peter, free money. There's only one actor who could possibly one up Pattinson, and it is Angel himself, David Boreanaz for Batman. Please, I am begging you. I am begging the casting gods to throw me a bone here and give me my time in the sun with David Boreanaz playing Batman. I need it today.
Yeah, he'd be pretty damn great. I could see that.
Right? He's got a bat chin. He is exactly the age range you were describing.
Yeah.
You know, like we've seen him. We like again, like he in Angel, he has already established he can hit all the beats we need.
Uh-huh.
Crime fighter by night. You know, he could be a vicious bastard to the people who deserve it. He could be the most tender, caring protector to the people who need it. And we've seen how he deals with a son who wants nothing more than to take him off the fucking board.
Yeah.
It's all right there. Angel is the key. David Boreanaz is Batman. Come on. But yeah, so that again, very exciting stuff there. And then last couple things here. Armin, how you feeling about that GTA 6 trailer?
Well, out of these things, this is the one I can talk about because I am a season behind on The Boys, so I can't talk about The Boys trailer, but
Oh,
I
yes,
can
yes,
talk
yes.
about Grand Theft Auto. Boy, so I am one of those people that takes their time in video games. Like the GTA 5 story probably took me like 2 months, you know. Red Dead Redemption 2, I'm currently playing it because I wanted to restart on PC where I could play it at like 120 frames a second, 4K on my PC. So I'm playing like 10 hours a week and I do everything slow. Like I'm living the cowboy life. So I love Rockstar games. I have since GTA 2.
Getting your Wild Wild West on.
Yeah. So like looking at this trailer, which I've probably seen at least a dozen times at this point and watched so many breakdowns and little hidden details. This game and everything it's doing, this is going to be one of those the industry shifts. Any 3 months in either direction of this game, you're getting away from it. You're getting away from when it drops its online mode, and I hope for every other game's sake that it's not there on launch day because it will destroy all the competition. I have a feeling that this is going to be that game where you look at Red Dead Redemption 2 and you look at all the insane details they put in there that they didn't need to put in. Like, go kill a random animal and walk away and then detach the camera with, like, you know, your computer. You will see another animal come in and start feasting on it and bring its remains to, like, its, you know, offspring. It is insane. Rockstar makes the best, most believable lived in world. And this trailer was packed with all those little details. Like, I just know we're all going to get it. And this is not going to be like all the games in the last couple of years where it comes out and you talk about it for a week and it's over. We're going to be talking about this for years on end. Like, it looks that big. And according to reports, they're not going to be, you know, just abandoning the story mode. They're going to be adding DLC as it goes and rolling in online aspects into single player. Like, everything about this, I mean, it's either on your most anticipated list or I don't think you play video games or this just isn't your thing. Like, I don't get it. Like, it looks perfect. That's kind of my take on it.
I'm really excited for it. I never played Grand Theft Auto until the pandemic.
Oh, whoa, what?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. As a kid, I was not allowed to play like M-rated games till I was like 13 or 14.
Mm,
So like, and even then, like my family was like really apprehensive about Grand Theft Auto. Because you know, like it has the reputation for the game where you can like fucking kill a hooker, you know?
yeah.
Like it's the shoot a hooker in the face game to a lot of like people who aren't actively playing video games. And I remember like my mom at one point basically was like, make the case to me as to why you think this game is worth your time. Because it was mostly my brother who wanted to play it. My brother was like
Mhm.
way more interested in playing GTA than I was. Because I was like, oh, I can play M-rated games, so all I'm gonna play is fucking Assassin's Creed now. So my brother and I sat down and I basically had this like whole presentation about, yes, those things in GTA you've heard about that are awful are there, but you need to understand this is actually a satire about capitalism.
Right.
And then that was the day that the Jarod you all know and put up with was born, when I was like, let me do it like an analysis of GTA 5 having not fucking played it.
See, like,
So
people constantly talk about, oh, you run around, you kill hookers and this and that. I'm like, bro, I play these games and I live the story. Like,
yeah,
I put myself in the mindset of the character. I like to role play. I like to see the world. I like to just, scope out an area and try to like do like a crime. And it's like, I almost never just run around and just murder people. Like, I've never done that in these games, even when I was younger. To me, it's all about the mob life and living that fantasy, which
yeah,
I love those stories. Naturally, as an Eastern European, of course, I love mob stories. It's in like my DNA. So I, and that's why GTA 4 is my favorite thing. Cause like GTA 4 is about an immigrant from the Bosnian Serb war who comes to America and suddenly he has nothing to do but live a life of crime because that's all he knows.
yeah,
I related to that because that's what happened to me. So it's like, like GTA to me has always been hey, check out this world and this crime and stuff with the satire that makes explicit call outs to how the world is fucked up today. And I mean, the new
yeah,
GTA is Florida Man the game. How the fuck do you not want that?
dude. Okay. This might be a little bit too much of a Jared specific request, but since they're going the Florida route, and we've already kind of seen some of the white trash weirdos,
Hmm.
I am begging for there to be some type of pastiche of QAnon in this game.
Oh, 100%.
It has to be.
100%.
It has to be. It has to be there. There's no way there is not some bizarre esoteric conspiracy community
There is.
in
I'm
GTA
telling you,
6.
I'm telling you right now, I guarantee it. They are going to put a version of Alex Jones in this damn game. He will be in this. I swear to God, it is the next logical step because there's no way that read an interview from about 6 or 7 years ago when they were first talking about GTA 6, and they were like, how do you satirize America today with what it's become? Because they referenced that one alien mission in GTA 4 being like, people believe that now, so we have to amp it up. There's no
Yeah.
way that you're not bringing QAnon and Alex Jones light into this as like a podcaster and totally riffing on it, and then eventually finding him like being sued in court or something. It is 100% going to be in here. Like, that is Rockstar's MO. You know this.
Going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty. It's incredible detail. Tuning into it. They want to shatter your mind talking about Justin Bieber. It's pure evil.
Listen, if there is the way you were talking about him getting sued, do you have any idea the fucking brain hemorrhage I'm gonna have if there is some version of the Mr. Jones, did you know that 13 days ago your attorney sent me a complete digital copy of your cell phone? Like, if they do an Alex parody in GTA 6, I pray that there is a Mark Bankston cameo. Okay. So real quick, because I know you really only had like about an hour, and I'll do the boys trailer talk.
Yeah, because I am
solo.
literally, I have no idea what's happened with the boys since a season ago. So
I actually got this idea right before we started. I am a baby wrestling fan. I am a baby Mark. Okay. Every wrestling fan I know is infinitely less excited about the return of CM Punk than I am.
yes.
And I understand. It's going to sound like redundant because I'm going to ask you to like speak on it from your perspective as someone who's been like around that fandom a lot longer than me. Like, I understand the why.
Yeah.
I would like to hear your thoughts, and I'd like to give you the floor here before you have to dip about the return of Punk and the cult of personality.
Oh, perfect. I've been watching Punk since buying VHS through the Ring of Honor Club in like 2002-ish was a thing. My friends and I were so in deep with pro wrestling in the early 2000s, we would do the tape trading thing you now hear about as the old man thing. We would go out of our way to talk to indie guys locally around here to get us tapes of Japanese wrestlers we've heard of. So when it comes to hardcore wrestling smart marks, I am right there with the most hardcore. So I've been following CM Punk since his career started in Ring of Honor, him and Bryan Danielson and Chris Daniels and Frankie Kazarian and the Amazing Red and Jerry Lynn and all these names now that are like producers or retired. And Punk rose up and he had a legit personality, the cult of personality, as is his song and as is him. He built up this persona where puts on killer matches and he's great. But Phillip Brooks, the character, is not the same as CM Punk because CM Punk is this character he plays, and Phil Brooks, his real name, is an egotistic man-child that needs to either get his way or you are wrong. And not only does his bad behavior go with AEW for the last 2 years, it goes back to WWE a decade ago and 15 years ago, and it goes back to when he was in TNA briefly, and it goes all the way back to Ring of Honor. And you just look at old interviews and realize he rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because he cannot keep his ego in check. And I get it. He wants to protect and be smart and go, hey, don't do this stupid thing that could hurt you. But if you are so insistent that everybody has to be you, that you can't let them be themselves, and this happens over and over with everybody, including some of the nicest people in wrestling. He clashed with William Regal, who nobody's ever had a bad word about. You are the problem. And as much as I love CM Punk as a wrestler, and I have literally like a mini CM Punk shrine in my living room, because he is one of my all-time favorites. He is toxic and does not need to be in wrestling anymore. He cannot do it. It is a bad thing for him. He's his own worst enemy. He's almost like Alex Jones for wrestling. He is his own worst enemy, and he should not be allowed to be near it. Like, it is bad to say, but he needs to be away from it. It's not going to work out. Oh.
Now I want to hear CM Punk just, I'm not mad at the crew. Maybe I'll be better tomorrow. No, that all makes sense, and I understand a lot of that. You know, for me, I like because I've said this before. I've been trying to get into wrestling for years, and I saw a lot of Punk stuff in AEW. You know, when there's like a big event, I'll typically watch it with Alden Diaz and Michael McCoy. And pardon me, hiccups. And I really enjoyed him. I really enjoyed what I saw. And then I went back and I watched those like that. I can't remember the name of the channel. And I think you posted it in the wrestling Facebook group. That like documentary. That's
my God. Yeah.
Just that cinematic like history of Punk and AEW. It's incredible. It's beautiful. And I watched that after watching some Punk stuff, and I was like, I'm really fucking into this guy.
Yep.
And then like a week after watching it was when all holy hell broke loose in the UK, correctly? Am I correct? Like that was like the nail in the coffin. It was like he snapped and like got into like a fist fight with the Young Bucks. But backstage.
He got into a giant fist fight a year and a half ago, and then he was suspended, then brought back, and then the whole thing with Jungle Boy happened this year, and that was
Jungle Boy. He got to a fist fight with, and that's what got him fired. Okay, because I know he got into a tussle with the Bucks, and then it was like, hey, if you do this shit again, you're out.
Right.
Knock it the fuck off. Act like an adult.
Yeah.
And I think part of what's so, frustrating about Punk in many ways is that like he is a complicated human, as we all are, is that for he's incredibly difficult. He's a jackass. He's an egomaniac. He needs it to be about him. He's very, forward thinking about himself and his career and his presence in these companies. He's also like one of the few wrestlers who will be like, hey, trans rights are human rights. And I'll say it on the mic during the show. Fuck you. In an industry that has been dominated by a lot of backwards conservative thinking.
Oh, and like, CM Punk, you see him in his AEW run. He would do interviews. He would talk about how WWE is constantly backing Trump, how they don't allow LGBTQ plus, how they in the back room will chastise you and make you almost want to kill yourself if you are gay, which they very much tried with Canyon. He almost took his life a decade ago, like, or a little bit more than that. Like, WWE is, look, yeah, they're right-wing company. And he was allowed to do anything he wanted in AEW, including get his own show with his own friends that he booked. And he still had this blow up and everything was handed to him on a silver platter. His heart is in a good place. And I love that about him. But the fact that he showed the integrity of his character by going, where can I get money now? Oh, the company that hates trans people. Let me go there. I think showed the value of his character versus money. And I think a lot of people are looking at that now, acknowledging, yeah, it was all about the money for him. Like, it's sad that this is how it went down with him, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I really do hope that the post McMahon era changes a lot.
Yeah.
Because I don't, again, I'm a baby Mark, but I'm aware of the history, like even before this year, like I knew a lot of those horror stories. And then I listened to like the 6-part series on Behind the Bastards about Vince McMahon and was like, wow. Like I knew Vince McMahon was a piece of shit. I realized he was a fucking super villain, you know?
Yeah.
And let me tell you, like, again, friend of the show, Alden Diaz, one of my favorite people to work with, one of the best people in this space. In Epic Conference, he's the biggest CM Punk fan I know, and just so upset and disappointed by all of this.
Yep.
And I mean, I think you'll appreciate this. Alden's walkout music for Epic Confrontations, I say is because he hasn't played a match yet since Cult of Personality. He texted into a group chat that I'm in with Eli, the guy who runs it. He was like, I'm changing my walkout music. He's like, I don't know what I'm changing it to yet, but I'm not using Cult of Personality anymore. And like that was the moment where I was like, oh, that's how fucking upset you are about this. Holy Christ. Like, and that was, but personally, like, for me, I'm more excited just as like I'm excited to see Punk back in the ring. I haven't been around long enough to like have been heartbroken by it, if that makes sense. And like again, I think it's just youthful optimism for me.
Yeah.
That I'm like, like the moment I'm going to quit on him is if he does an event in Saudi Arabia. Like after that, like suck your blood money dick.
Yep.
Tweet, dude, you cannot.
Yeah.
like that is a moment where I will fully like wash my hands of him and go, okay, I'm back on the train here. But
the thing with CM Punk is, ever since watching him from the beginning, which I still have some of those old ass VHSs I bought through the mail order system, he's never been the best in ring. He doesn't have the most solid moves. His matches look a bit sloppy, but he gets you into them because he makes you believe in the character and what he's doing and how he's struggling. And that's something that a lot of wrestlers today forget. Bless his soul, the best wrestler alive today, Will Ospreay. He is a bout machine. You will not see a better wrestling match this year. And if you are to compare any Will Ospreay match, the only thing you can compare to is another Will Ospreay match. The dude puts on a banger after banger nonstop. But you don't get into his matches as much because he doesn't have that raw emotion and doesn't carry himself like Punk does, where everything is almost like, is this guy's career going to end after he gets punched? Like, it's a different mentality. And Punk is great for what he does, but I would never call him the best wrestler and the whole best in the world thing. I'm like, boy, that is just an ego thing, because I will name you a dozen better wrestlers today that will put on a better match in a heartbeat. But Punk will outsell them all because he'll make you convinced that the headlock somebody's got on him will end his career. Where the other guys are like, let me do a double front flip into a pile driver through a burning table. Cool. Gets up 30 seconds after. You're like, yeah, that's the difference. Punk doesn't do that. And he tells a story the others do. So
Yeah.
It's different
And
styles of wrestling, you know?
he's no John Moxley spilling a Mortal Kombat amount of
Yeah.
blood getting hanged
Yeah.
on the post. But yeah, so it's interesting, you know, it's something that I've had a lot of mixed feelings about. I made a joke to Alden. I was like, "Oh, this is your yay on InfoWars.
Yeah.
This is what your experience with what I went through last December when you watched him spiral and spiral and spiral, and then it ends in this fucking cacophony of the worst shit you've ever heard talking to the worst person ever."
Mm.
So there's that. Armin, I know you only had an hour to kick it. You gave me an extra 15 minutes, so I will let you get out of here and I'll do some boys trailer talk. Where can the lovely people find you? Again, I will make the joke I always make. If you're watching me and not Comic Book Cast, I don't know how the fuck that happened.
Look, see over there in the corner, it says Instagram at Arma2236. Just find me there, and then my link tree's there, and that's the thing I post sweaty pictures of myself at. So there you go.
And not so sweaty pictures wearing Roosevelt's.
True, true. Those are post sweaty pictures.
Listen, we always joke about like the way we're gonna get a Roosevelt's sponsorship on this podcast is that one day we're gonna have to collect a spreadsheet for all of the people I've gotten to buy shirts already. And I cannot wait to get the final tally from you one of these days that I could be like, and I helped put these numbers up.
I think you're up to something 50 plus for me, so definitely.
You are closing in on me. You're closing in on me.
It's become the only shirts I'm like, oh, I could get this graphic tee for $30. And I'm like, or I could just use my points and spend an extra $20 and get another shirt at Roosevelt. So why not? You know,
Yeah,
so that's kind of
yeah.
become the thing.
You get the review codes, right?
Oh,
You use the
of
review
course.
code?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All of
Okay.
it, just stack it.
Oh yeah, that's my thing. That's people always ask me, how do you have all these shirts? I'm like, I've never paid full price for a single fucking one.
Yeah, just stack them.
I've never, ever paid full price for one of these. It's either 15% off or $50 off. Like, fuck that. I'm not. I am swimming in those codes. But anyway, go watch Comic Book Cast. Go follow Armin on TikTok and Instagram. So yeah, Armin, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you. As always, people can see my icon there. Ray for life. Get hyped for the next Star Wars film shooting with her starting in April. So get hyped.
I'm so excited. I
Hell
cannot
yeah.
wait. I cannot wait for the Ray movie.
Yep.
But yeah, thank you, Armin. Catch you later, bud.
Later.
So the trailer for The Boys here. I'll kick Armin. Okay, cool. He got himself. The trailer for Boys season 4. I really liked this a lot. One of the things I've loved about The Boys is the way that it has depicted the radicalization of Homelander. And what I love about this framing device of them talking about Rome and Greece, and Homelander comparing himself to Caesar by the end, is that not only are we getting into this whole idea of the easiest person on the planet to radicalize is a white dude who kind of had no ideology to begin with, other than self-service. So you take this guy, you put him in a scenario where he's already like drinking a lot of like hyper nationalist Kool-Aid, and it's really easy to turn that guy into a fucking Nazi. And we see that happen, you know, especially when Stormfront gets in his ear and, you know, really, really, truly starts to radicalize Homelander. So building off of that into this season, this whole idea of, you know, democracy falls when somebody like a Homelander is able to get a foothold in those systems that are not built to deal with somebody like him, I think is very beautiful. I think the Homelander Trump analog here continues to soar. I know a lot of the presidential election stuff is probably aiming towards Newman. Newman. I do think by the end of it, part of it's going to be that the Homelander's running as well. And I love the idea of Boys season 4 doing this moment where we have somebody who is concurrently on trial for a litany of crimes. I mean, granted, for him, it's just the one murder at that rally. But, you know, it's somebody on trial for some fucked up shit while also running for president and having a cult like following around him for it. I think that's fascinating. I love this whole idea of how democracy falls. I love the way that, you know, it's kind of setting up the idea that Homelander's fall will come from inside, which is greatly set up by Gen V, where you establish this whole idea that Vought is trying to create a superhuman killing plague. And the idea that, you know, like Caesar was killed by his by the people he get the closest, Homelander will attempt, so they will attempt to usurp Homelander using this virus. And I think that's a great parallel to the whole Caesar idea. And I think that that specific idea, that specific thread is going to be something that people are going to want to keep their eye on. I think that's going to be a motif that is going to develop over the course of the season. That I think is very, very clever. I also think that there's probably going to be some element of COVID stuff with that. I think that there's going to be some element to there's a deadly plague wiping out huge swaths of the population, and the people in power will do nothing about it, which could be a very interesting route to go down. I'm very interested to see what a Billy Butcher, who knows his time is almost up, how he's going to behave. If this is an inflection point for him as a person, or if he's only gonna get worse. I think if this is Billy Butcher going, well, fuck it, it's time to get real nasty, real diabolical, or if this is a Billy Butcher who's ready to turn things around, I'm very excited to see what direction they take that in. I like this idea of like the warring, you know, Starlighters and Homelanderers. I think that's gonna have an interesting dynamic. Again, if there's one thing from Gen V that left me wanting, it is I don't quite understand what the superhero metaphor is meant to be now. Again, I think that what they're going for is some type of like superhuman supremacy, but Vought and maybe the government trying to do a superhuman genocide makes the fascists right, and I'm kind of apprehensive about that. But again, I do trust Eric Kripke and co. To land the plane here. But no, I love the visuals of the trailer. I'm very fascinated to see where the plague stuff is going. I think that that's what A Train is looking at in that little case canister thing, is that it is some type of fungus that is growing from the plague that Vought has been working on. Also, Black Noir's back. I'm not gonna lie to you. If they do it, if they killed Noir to do the Homelander clone, I'm gonna shit my pants. But yeah, no, I absolutely love this trailer. I cannot wait for Boys season 4. I am going to be doing a full rewatch leading up to it. I'm going to show my girlfriend The Boys, which I cannot wait to do. Get her into it, or at least try. So yeah, absolutely fantastic trailer. Cannot wait to see what they do with all of these ideas of democracy falling, about strong men rising to the top and taking control over systems of democracy and abusing those systems in the most sinister ways. So yeah, very excited for The Boys season 4. So yeah, that's all we have for this episode. You guys can find me personally at Twitter at Dark Jedi 2552, at Twitter and Instagram, Dark Jedi 2552. And you can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever you get podcasts, and on our website, thenerdacademypodcast.com, where if you want to get some TNAP merch, go ahead and click that student store link.
tpublic.com.
It's holiday time, so TeePublic is basically going to be on sale this entire fucking month. I'm really bad at posting about when there's merch on sale, but like most of the shirts are like $14 right now. So if you want to get some TNAP shirts, you can get some stickers, you can get some hoodies, all the things they have on TeePublic you can get with the TNAP logo on it. Various versions of it. You can get like this, like the little shield crest. You can get the full logo. You can get my favorite version, which is the orange and blue version of the crest on like the little like breast pocket area, and then like the big logo on the back. That's my favorite version of our merch. So yeah, go look at that while everything's on sale, or get the fellow TNAP fan in your life a Nerd Academy t-shirt. You can also, if you want to support the show in other ways, you can go ahead and click on that Patreon link.
Hey, give me $1.
As I alluded to, $5 tier versus series. All the rest of the episodes for the year coming out soon. But speaking of our patrons, thank you to our $10 alumnus, Keandre Lloyd.
Colin Provolone. Sir.
So good.
Feel yourself, Colin. Feel yourself.
This is me stealing my soul.
To Elonix Jonesisk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And to our dear friend and $10 patron, Ray Clausen, who asks that you donate to Equality Texas and help keep queer kids safe in the Lone Star State. Like I said, hopefully we'll have another episode of the Versus series coming out to you guys late, or no, it'll probably come out, fingers crossed, Saturday night, Sunday morning. And then Monday, there will be an episode of KNR proper that I'm very, very excited for. So with all that said, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those things. Help us get to 500 subscribers. That would be greatly appreciated. And class dismissed.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!
My voice.
Excuse me.